Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Impactful Podcast. I'm your host, DJ. Alongside with me is the other man that is a huge fan of the Impact Wrestling, the great one, Eric. Say hello to everybody.
What's up, everybody? What's up?
All right. Well, let's get this out of the way real quick. And, this is just to continue, um, appreciation for the fans. Thank you so much because for the third straight week, we had really good numbers. So thank you so much for, downloading the podcast, listening to it, because even though we get people that watch us, some people can't catch us live, so you listen to the podcast. The numbers are still growing, so I'm happy. It hasn't slowed down, so we continue to thank you, and hopefully that keeps going. Of course, everyone in chat, your boy, Get 'em Jones, Travis. Welcome. All right, let's get right into it. All right. We had a pretty good show last week on Impact Wrestling. And let's get a quick recap of the storylines that were a part of that show, and then we'll get into the review. Right after that, we're going to do a couple of things. One thing that we're going to do, like an early prediction for 2019, where they're going to be as far as who's going to be the champion, and maybe a little shocker of a turn of events. And then we're also going to do the Impactful 3 of the week and a couple things that came out in the news in the world of Impact Wrestling. So let's get right into it. It is the recap of last week. On last week's show, Brian Cage started off the show attacking everyone in his path to get to Johnny Impact and get answers on why he wasn't getting the title shot. He found out that Killer Cross was going to be getting his shot on the show that we're going to be covering today. Cause destruction. But later on, he wasn't about. Another thing, Eddie Edwards lost a match to Ethan Page by DQ when he hit Page with Kenny the Kendo. It was a good wrestling match, but it ended up in a hardcore fashion. That also prompted Eli Drake to go off on Edwards about how he used to be great. He mentioned all his accomplishments, and then he says, ever since he went down that hardcore route, he wants to be the king of hardcore. He hasn't been relevant. He hasn't won any championships. He's not the same guy. And he's trying to take him out of it. Of course, you had Jordan Grace show with Power Off in the victory over Dark Alley. Cage gets a huge victory over Moose in the longest match of the show, but a really good match. Tessa cuts a promo on Gail Kim, attacked everyone in backstage. When she finally snapped, Gail Kim got involved, and she also was attacked, resulting in her suspension. We had an incredible victory in the non-title match with Trey Miguel. Rich Swann did. I'm sorry. Callahan. I was going to say Sami Zayn. Sami Callahan came to a ring with an OVE shirt and told him to come home. And, of course, you had an incredible tag team match with LAX and OVE. LAX gets the victory. But then at the end of the show, they go backstage. They were greeted by Lucha Brothers, where they were there to congratulate them on their victory. And, of course, Ortiz had to end the show with a good line, says, if you ever want to catch another ass whooping, let me know, baby. There we go. That's pretty much the recap of last week's show. And we both agreed that it was a pretty good show. Not as good as the first show that they had on Pursuit on Twitch, but it was close enough. All right. Do you have anything to add to before we go on to the review for the new show?
No, I think that was basically it.
All right. Let's get right into it. And of course, they started off the show with Rich Swann, which they kind of do a lot, I realize. It's always a good match with starting the show off with Rich Swann. He was going up against the AAA product, Hijo Del Viquino. 21-year-old. Again, he's part of the AAA promotion because they're in Mexico City. He's also currently the AAA Trios champion. So you had a guy with a good resume going up against Rich Swann. I do like the fact they used talent from down there to be a part of the show. A great contest between the both competitors, with both of them gaining the upper hand. It's just one of those, it was like a lucha style. It was two different styles, but I mean, it was a really good match, entertaining. You had two close finishes in the match. Swann put Del Viquino in an unorthodox upside-down submission right into a pin for a 2 count, which I thought was very impressive. Rakino comes off the ropes with a step up in security, and Fisherman Buster jackhammer pin for the 2 count. That was a close finish. That was awesome. And then, of course, after 15 minutes, Swan finally finishes off the young Phenom with a 450 splash for the 1-2-3. My quick question for you, my friend, what did you think of the opening bout on the show?
I think it was an excellent match. I think both superstars went back and forth. I think there was one spot where um, uh, El Hijo de Vikingo kind of stuttered on the back and forth spot in the beginning. But other than that, I think it was actually a great back and forth match. It was a great match to actually be picked to start the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think it was actually great for what they were using it for.
Yeah, and I like it because you always use like the local talent. Like it reminded me of back in the day with WWE superstars. You got the local talent. The idea is to get the main talent over. In this case, you were using one of the best guys they had in AAA. Of course, Rich Swann went on top, but he gave a fight, and I think it did great things for both of them. If I was
Hmm.
AAA, I would be proud. He took it to Rich Swann. He put on a good show. He showed how aggressive he could be. He attacked him early on in the match. I was very excited to see that. It was a very entertaining match. And yeah, so how do you feel about them using the AAA talent?
I like it. I think that it's a good way to continue um, the working relationship they have between the two. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it was an excellent way to continue that and to keep that going and to showcase that talent at the same time because it's hard to keep that going and then still be able to showcase the talent. If at times that can be hard. So to be able to put that still be able to put that talent over,
Yeah.
um, even on a loss is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, a lot of people think like if you're burying a guy with a loss. No, he did what he had to do. At the end of the day, he's not contracted with Impact. They did allow him to be on there, but it wasn't a squash match. It gave he actually put a fight. He gave him a fight.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was no squash about it, and it was an incredible match. And the only thing I didn't like, I wish it was longer, but I understood it was TV, so it did its
Right.
job. It was a great match. It was a good thing to get Rich Swann over. But of course, after the match, Sam Callahan came out with OVE yet again with the OVE shirt, and he told Rich Swann to reconsider and come home and join the OVE family. And we've been wondering this for the last couple weeks because he's been trying to, get him to join the faction, and we were wondering what's the story. Why does he keep saying that? Because there was something there. We just were waiting for the next chapter of the story. And we, of course, get it because he went on to say that he was Rich Swann's savior. If he didn't save him, he would still be homeless in Baltimore. He even asked where his family was during that rough time in his life. Swann
Hmm.
did consider, he grabbed the shirt and then he gave it back to him and said it wasn't the right fit for him and left the ring. But of course, as Swann was heading to the back, Sammy told him to think about it because he has given Swann everything he ever needed. Later on that night, he was then confronted on the way out of the arena if the statements, what Sam said was true, and he, of course, confirmed that, yes, it was true. And then he said, that's all he's going to say, and walked out of the arena. It was told in the past about Swann's history, his past, especially in the Cruiserweight Classic in WWE. He lost
Hmm.
both of his parents at an early age. His father was murdered and then lost his mother 4 years later due to an illness. And, pardon me. He also fell into hard times. He got addicted to cocaine, and he was homeless at 18 years old. And look where he's at now. I mean, a true success story. Um, I mean, we all like how sometimes they add real life to the storylines. Because, in my opinion, I think they make it better. Realism makes everything better. How do you feel about them adding the real life story to the storyline?
I always enjoy when they add real life um elements of the story to the storyline because it helps to bring out emotion that sometimes you wouldn't otherwise see in certain wrestling. So I think that a lot of times it's always um, I've never really seen a time that it was a bad thing
Mm-hmm.
when they brought in a real life aspect to the storyline.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've seen it in plenty of things over the years. um, you've seen Eddie Guerrero with, you know, Rey Mysterio.
Hmm.
Um, and Eddie Guerrero, like he brought his addiction in the storyline too. I mean, it is always good because at the end of the day, these guys are humans, and it shows a human element to them. Um, and of course, the guys that usually use their brings up their past, their horrible past, they're usually the heels. So it's a good way to get someone heat. Also
Hmm.
sympathy for the guy, and again, I mean, this is a true story about him, and look where he's at now. A true success story. I mean, I enjoy every match that Rich Swann has done. Um, he has yet to disappoint me in any match he's been in, and this match definitely didn't disappoint. All right. D Shep says it helps the heel be more of a heel. Yeah, exactly. Because especially when it comes to death, like you've seen the Riot Squad use that in WWE with Anvil Neidhart with Natalia recently.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, you're going to see that. Of course, people that listen to this, we are live on Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube. So if you want to catch us, we are live on Tuesdays. So if you listen to the podcast, I'll post the links in the description of the podcast. So make sure you click that link and give us a follow, and you can catch us live and chat with us. Okay, just want to get that out of the way before we move on to the later on in the show. Of course, you got another AAA versus Impact match, and that was Taya Valkyrie against Kira. Taya returns to Impact for the first time since the brutal attack from Killer Cross at Homecoming. She finds herself in a non-title match and gets a good AAA talent, Kira. Kira started the match showing off her aggressiveness by attacking Taya from behind. We'll find out that she was a heel later. She even got a close fall on the Knockouts champion. But Taya prevailed as she does a surfboard curb stomp and a surfboard camel clutch with a tap out. Simple
Hmm.
question for you, man. What did you think of the match?
I think it was an excellent match. Again, it was one of those matches that they brought in the local talent, but they actually showcased what the that talent from AAA could do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was an excellent back and forth match. Great match on both sides. Um, the moment of the match to me was actually that running drop kick that Kira landed in the corner. At one
Mm-hmm.
point, it looked almost like, from one angle, it looked like she really laid uh, into Taya with that kick. So I think it was excellent on both ends. Like I say, don't really have any complaints. I think the match was great as far as the back and forth was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like we stated, an excellent way to still showcase that talent from AAA at the same time still putting over the talent from Impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, loss isn't, always a bad thing. But again, I guess they, knowing going in that, yeah, you're going to lose to the Impact talent. Yeah, especially Taya. Last thing you want is a woman coming back from, just being attacked by Killer Cross at Homecoming, and that very same show
Hmm.
she beat Tessa Blanchard for the title. To come back and lose, wouldn't be exactly the best thing. I think it would be a good triumph to have her win her first match back. Now, if she was to go on and lose a non-title match next week, it wouldn't hurt her any. But this was the best match, and they paired her up with a good talent out of the AAA organization to do the match with her. I thought it was an excellent match. Showcased that there's a lot of good talent out there in the women's division. And didn't we come a long way from 20 years ago? Because we grew up in the Attitude Era, and you knew how the women's wrestling was portrayed then. I mean, in 20 years, we came a long way.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Definitely true.
All right. Of course, after the match, we'll get to this real quick. After the match, Talia talked about how excited she was to be back in Mexico. Of course, she spoke the language. I don't know exactly what she said fully. They didn't, translate that, but obviously she was talking to the crowd. She addressed the homecoming incident and how Killer Cross ruined her great night for her and her husband, Johnny Impact. Then she addressed Tessa Blanchard, saying once she gets out, once she has done her suspension, when she returns, they will finish their business. And of course, the business is Tessa, feels like she was robbed because of what Gail Kim did. She interfered, costing her the title. My quick question for you. As a fan, if you were to book her, how would you see Tessa coming back on her suspension and further in the storyline? I mean, there's so many cheap ways you could. Not cheap. That's a bad choice of words. There's so obvious ways they could do it. Can you see if there's anything special they could do to bring her back?
Well, I think that they could, because there was already like the segment. There was a thing where online that actually showed Tessa saying that her suspension was lifted on February, I think, 15th.
15th, which is their next special, yeah.
Right. So I'm thinking that if for it to bring her back either as if you're wanting to do something specific like bigger, either bring her back immediately into a championship match or bring her back and cost someone else the title just so that she could like say for instance somebody else is fighting Taya but she wants to and so she could either cost Taya the title or cost someone else the title, which would then too further her storyline with Gail Kim being in charge of the Knockouts division.
All right. I have a way, if you're wondering, you're saying cost someone the title, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we saw what happened at the Royal Rumble, that you're going to see possibly more intergender. I think it's time. I don't think it's a bad thing. And sometimes a woman can beat a man's ass, okay? Let's be honest. Look what happened to R-Truth on Sunday at Royal Rumble. What if there was a way that she could, in a way, somehow, some way, what if it was to hit him with a belt, hit him with a chair or something, costing Johnny Impact the championship, and allowing Brian Cage to win? Yes, it's not hurting Taya directly, but it's her husband that you cost him the title. Could it be a way that they could have go? Would that be a different way to come about it? That she's back on the 15th because they announced it the 15th. He's speaking for life on that one. Thank you. Yes, I got bullied. I've been bullied by women. I'm still being bullied by women. All right, it's my wife. Now, is there a way, like, I mean, if she was to cost him the title and, allowing Brian Cage to win, because like you said, her suspension's lifted to 15th. They announced that at Uncaged that Impact will be defending his title against Brian Cage. Is there a way that they can do that? Because she doesn't necessarily have to be in a match, but she's back from suspension, and she could cause an issue. She could cost someone the title.
True, but I don't see that specifically being a way to advance the other part of the feud with her and Gail Kim.
Okay. All right. Well, oh, yeah, because that is the thing. Well, I get what you're saying with that. Yeah, I kind of missed the boat. Because I know they still have business. It's just like they're finishing up with, pardon me, they're finishing up Cage and Impact. I think that at Uncaged that's going to happen. And they're setting up with another storyline. Do you think that they could further the storyline with Taya and Tessa, finish that, and then you get the Gail Kim? You'll still keep Gail Kim in the mix, but you obviously got to have a conclusion to that storyline because they really didn't. They had that match, but it was a result of Gail Kim, her losing the title. So I don't know if they do go that route. I was just curious, like, if they were to do it, could they do it that way?
It's possible, but again, like I say, I think with the whole Tessa and Gail Kim storyline, I think it would be more of it would be better if it had something to do with a knockout or the Knockouts Championship just to further that particular storyline. Not saying that your idea wouldn't be a good idea because it could still further the Taya storyline, but what I think they're pushing to more right now is the Gail Kim storyline. So it wouldn't. I don't think it would be good as far as that one.
All right. I mean, you could be dead right on that. I'm just wondering if they could do something different with that. All right. Well, let's go. Let's move along. Like I said, I can't wait to see what they do with that. That is, I like things like that. The suspense of how they're going to bring her back. And of course, we'll see that on the 15th. Of course, they go into commercial and they come back from commercial with a Scarlett Bordeaux training video. They basically showed a video package of Scarlett training and getting ready for the first match. They finished the segment with them announcing that she will be debuting in 3 weeks. Any thoughts on the announcement?
No, I mean, it was just one of those trying to keep her relevant until she actually does her debut and trying to keep her, on television until she actually does make that debut. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm not gonna say it was like huge and super anything like that, but I don't see anything wrong with it because it was a way of, keeping her involved as far as TV is concerned until she actually does make her debut.
Yeah, the one thing I liked, and we discussed this last week, is the fact that she hasn't done a match yet, and she is pretty much over in the Impact community.
Hmm.
I go in the chat as far as their Discord server, their chat in the Twitch channel, and of course Twitter. I mean, I talk with people on Twitter too. And I mean, there's a lot of positivity as far as like his Scarlett Bordeaux. I know what she's doing. She's trying to be scandalous, and it's interacting things from 20 years ago to what women wrestling is today. That's what they're trying to do, and I see their approach, and I agree. You don't have to completely dump everything from like 20 years ago, the attitude era, the sexiness. You could still have that and still have them be ass kickers. I mean, it's possible.
Hmm.
But the thing to pretty much cap this off, it was. I love how not one match, and you saw a lot of character development. A lot of character development. And it's funny because you got other promotions, even the big dogs, that fail to do that. That's why, they're going to be losing talent soon. But this one, I think they did a tremendous, it was a tremendous way to showcase her talents more than just in the ring. Now you're going to see that, but you got to see the character development and what she's able to do verbally. Now you're going to see it physically in 3 weeks. Do you have
Right.
anything else to add with that?
No,
Or to
I
counter?
think that's exactly it.
Okay. Well, let's go right into it. Now we had the video package, and then we go into a tag team competition between the Rascals and the Desi Hit Squad. Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz represented the Rascals in this match. Desi Hit Squad coming off the heat they got for trying to stop Scarlett Bordeaux from doing her little lap dance a couple weeks ago. It was a good tag team match with a lot of innovative offensive maneuvers. The Desi Hit Squad showed their speed and power combination, which I like. We'll get into that in a second. But of course, the Desi Hit Squad came up short, but the Rascals getting the win with the push moonsault. My first question for you, and it was probably one of the longest matches of the night. It was pretty long. What did you think of the match?
I actually enjoyed the match. I thought that it actually went over very well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that it actually was able to showcase both tag teams and showcase what both could do, but also was a great way to put over the Rascals.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now they are just their money as far as their in ring work is concerned.
Oh, definitely.
So yeah,
Well, who was your favorite? Who out of the three? If you have one favorite, who's your favorite?
it's hard to say. Um, mm,
I'll
yeah,
do.
really, right now it's hard to say. I would maybe lean more towards Desmond Xavier just because I know what he's capable of.
Yeah,
Um, but it's really hard to say that there is a true clear cut favorite of the three.
I like Trey Miguel the most out of the three. As far as tag team, I think they should stick with Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz, and singles keep Trey Miguel as a singles guy. Because seeing the matches that he has had, and I know because they do mix it up though, but my favorite is Trey Miguel out of the three. Anyways, yeah, this is of course the first time since we started this podcast that we've seen the Desi Hit Squad compete on TV. I want to get your thoughts real quick on the Desi Hit Squad because I mean we covered all the other tag teams in the tag team division so far, but we haven't covered this one. So what do you think about them?
I actually think that they are a good tag team. I think that they, at least from seeing them last night, they work really well together.
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting to see more. I want to see them give us more. I would love to see them in a match against a team like the Lucha Brothers or LAX, one of the top teams in the division. Not saying that the Rascals aren't, but I don't think that they've produced the matches on that level as just yet, consistently. And so what I want to see is the Desi Hit Squad in a tag team match against a Lucha Brothers or a LAX, and give them a good, 15, 20 minutes and let them showcase what they can really do in the match and then see where it goes from there.
I think that it's possible that they could be in a match with like Lucha Brothers because they're going to be in another match with LAX. But I mean, you could develop the story without having them, do what they do on like WWE, where you got to have them, matches every week, and it takes away from the main match at the pay-per-view. One of the matches, yeah, you could put Desi Hit Squad with them. I do like the speed combination with the power. It's two different styles and they come together. Opposites do attract, and it can produce gold. And with that, you get the Desi Hit Squad. I enjoyed their matches. Got me saying, he's a legend in the wrestling world. There's no, for people who don't know, that guy is a very accomplished wrestler. The manager for the Desi Hit Squad, and yeah, these two, man, I'm enjoying their matches, and I was actually excited. I'm like, they're on the show. Good, we finally get to talk about them. They haven't been since we started the show. We're on our 4th episode, and we haven't been able to talk about them. And here we are talking about them, and I was excited to talk about that. It was a very good match. I enjoyed it. But of course, the Rascals, man, never cease to amaze. They're very, very exciting to watch. And this is like tag team wrestling. I love tag team wrestling. And I argue this is probably the best division in wrestling. I could challenge anyone. Find another promotion with a better tag team division. People probably, WWE. Okay, they got a few good ones. But just about every tag team in this division and Impact could be up there. Okay, that's my opinion. You could have a different opinion. Everyone in chat can have a different opinion. I love the tag team division and how they use they do storytelling with the tag team division. They don't do that in many promotions. They really don't. They just throw it together. Here you go. Here's the tag match. Do something. They do storytelling along with that. So I always enjoyed that. That's so. Going from there, do you have anything to add to that tag team match before we move forward?
No, I think it actually, like you stated, it's an excellent way that they've been being used to tell stories in that tag division, and just want to keep that going. Don't want that to stop at all, because that's when the whole division starts to lose momentum.
Yeah, definitely. And I would like to see, because of course we'll cover the news. We got 2 new people in creative. I wonder how they're gonna, approach the tag team division, how they're gonna handle it. But of course we'll get into that later in the show. All right, so let's move along now. We got Ethan Page going up against Trey Miguel, my favorite out of the 3 of the Rascals. Early in the match, Ethan Page showed how athletic he is as well. He showed off his strength in this match. He controlled a good portion of the match. But of course, Ethan had the upper hand until Trey Miguel countered one of Ethan's moves with a modified neck breaker. Very innovative. That was followed by a lot of innovative offensive maneuvers. I gotta stop using that word. Trey then finished off Page with the spinning DDT for the 1-2-3. I mean, it was a match that was to showcase both of their talents. There was nothing storyline-wise. Maybe they could go with something storyline-wise. But overall, what did you think of the match?
I thought it was a good match. I think that it was a way to um showcase both,
Mm-hmm.
um, but still try to get Ethan over a little bit more, seeing that Trey's already as over as he is.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good way to showcase the talents of both,
Mm-hmm.
and still try to push Ethan a little bit more so that people will get behind him as either being the face or the heel. Get either giving him the pop or the heat. Either way, but that's what you want to do because with a character like his, and especially with him being it being all about his ego, you want to get that reaction. Um, having in wrestling having no reaction is even worse than
Yeah.
having a big reaction, having a lot of heat. So that's one thing that he needs right now, and it was a good way to do that.
Yeah, Ethan Page at one point did look at the camera and said, "Are you watching?" Well, we're wondering who he's saying that to, but I guess this is where we're going to find out. He's going to be putting a program. Who he's going to be putting a program with. I think he has the potential to be a great heel, a great heel. Um, the all ego thing that's always going to go to. I feel a heelish side of him. Um,
Hmm.
but no, the guy, he could do. He's like Brian Cage. He could do a lot of the big moves that the cruiserweights could do. But he also has a strength. He's a big guy. He's not a small guy. My only thing is now knowing the news. Of course, we'll cover it later about with oh my God. Yes. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Okay. But yeah, so I think that match was an excellent way to put both wrestlers over without really um, showcasing one over the other. I know, right? Um, but yeah, I think that was an excellent way for that to happen. I think that um, it could have been done differently, but and then too, if you do it any differently, it's not going to help either one of those. So I think that was the perfect way for that to be handled, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm back. Um,
No
um,
problem.
now where I was at, I'm sorry. I'll have to. Of course, I'll have to cut that. Now, what I was going with, he's obviously going to do some development. Ethan Page, um,
Hmm.
mainly for the fact that he was being mentored by Matt Sydal, and knowing that he's injured and the possibility of him not coming back, he's really going to have to rely on himself to build himself up in any way he needs. Of course, he'll get the guidance from the creative, but he's got to do it himself. It's not like WWE where it's everything micromanaged. He's got to do it. He's got to get himself heat. He's got to get himself over. I think he has it in him. I think he'd be a great heel for the company. Um, yeah, that's what I was getting to with that before I had to stop for a second. I'm sorry.
Oh,
um,
no problem.
so no, I mean it was a good match. Of course, Troy Miguel got the victory, but a loss is not bad for, especially when you're a heel. I mean, not what would you say? 9 out of 10 times the heel will lose against a face. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't always get the victory, and when you do, you're pretty much not doing it cleanly. It's rare if you get that in pro wrestling today. But yeah, like I said, despite the match, it wasn't to tell the story. Well, not building the story between them two. It was just a good pro wrestling match, and Trey McCall came out on top. All right, so let's go into the main event of the evening. Yeah, Killer Cross challenging Johnny Impact for the Impact World Championship. Um, Johnny Impact is trying to get retribution for what happened at Homecoming. And of course, in their no DQ match, 2 weeks ago, where Moose helped Killer Cross defeat him. Impact started the match in a really aggressive manner, which was expected. The numbers came into effect as the distraction from Moose allowed Cross to get the upper hand. After having control for a good portion of the match, Johnny Impact started to mount a comeback. But Johnny was setting up to land the Starship Pain to finish off Cross, but then he rolled out. And when Impact attempted to move, Cross then threw Impact in the Cross Jacket. Then out of nowhere, Brian Cage came out and attacked Cross, ending the match. Cage also attacked everyone else in sight. Moose, Impact. After the scuffle, Cross and Moose retreated. The show pretty much ended with Impact raising the title in front of a Cage, and they get pretty much in the argument. They ended the show with that, with them in the middle of the ring arguing. So, with the match, what did you think of the match?
I actually thought that it was an excellent back and forth match. It was good. It allowed both wrestlers to do what they do best, and it also allowed Cross to put himself in a position that you thought he may win because of the fact of basically countering the Starship Pain twice in the match. It allowed him to be in that position where you're like, okay, he's got Johnny's number. Let's see if this is gonna happen. And so I think that it was good. I think it was not quite on par with Impact and Brian Cage, but I think that it was still a great match for the amount of time that they had, what they put into the match. And I think this one was on par with the match that they had previously. So nothing really bad to say about the match.
It was a good match. It wasn't as long as the no DQ match. They only had like 13 minutes to put this match on. But I think they did what they had to do. It was a great match in that short amount of time.
Exactly.
Killer Cross, man, regardless, he's gold. I like what he does. I like everything he has done. I like Impact, but Cross, man, really shows his strength. And that's the thing, like, Impact will put an onslaught of maneuvers on him, and then Cross, he will sell, but he does pop up. It shows that he, he's inhuman in a way. Hold on a second. This kid, sorry. No. Yeah. No, I just like it because Killer Cross, he shows that he's kind of like inhuman in a way. Like you saw in that no DQ match where he did that moonsault with the chairs, and then he popped up after that. But again, you can stop him. He can be stopped because he does sell. He doesn't completely no sell. He sells. So in conclusion, though, is there anything else you got to say about that match? You want to finalize the show?
No, I think it was a great match. It was a great way to close out the show. The show was consistent top to bottom, so I think that this was a great way to close out the show. As far as the match is concerned, as far as the ending was concerned as well, because the ending just furthered, the whole storyline that's been going on. So it was a great way to keep everything going and keep everything moving in the direction that they wanted to move in.
Yeah, they did. As far as this, now you know that they're going to, have a tag match next week with Impact and Cage and Cross and Moose. You're going to see like a switch of storylines after this is all done. Whether if Cage is still, if he's going to be champion or is Impact going to retain. But you might see like a switch in like storylines here where you're going to have Cross and Cage, Moose and Impact, or it could go, they have them all intertwined, but it does work. It's not a cluster. We said that last week, that how they put them all together, but it's not a clusterfuck. It works. It makes sense, and they're setting up. And this is the long-term storytelling that they're really good at. That's it right there, and we'll see where they come with it, how they come about it, and further it. But yeah, this match, it was personal, but also the title was on the line. And even though it ended in no contest, it still told a great story. Cross wants that opportunity to be world champion. Impact wanted revenge on him for what he did to his wife. And at the end, it was gold. And yeah, like you said, a perfect way to end the show. Okay, well, now that we're done with covering the show, let's go with the conclusion. And what we do at the conclusion of the show is we rate it from 1 to 5. Last week we had a pretty good rating. The highest rating was the first week that they were on Twitch. And so 1 to 5, what do you give it, my friend, this week?
I'm gonna say a 3.75.
Ooh.
And only because it's not that they did anything bad at all. They continued to put on a great show. It's just, again, it's hard. It's going to be hard for them to top that very first episode. So I don't think that other than, maybe 1 or 2 spots that were a little botchy, other than that, I think it was an excellent show top to bottom. I think that even with, even continuing the other storyline in the Knockouts division with Jordan Grace and including Jordan Grace in that with Allie and Su Yung and Rosemary, I think that everything was good in the way that they did it. It's just going to be hard to top that very first show.
Yeah. Of course, you had him, excuse the pun, make an impact. Going on the new network, going on to Twitch, and try to maintain the audience. My rating as a show, I was going to go 3.5. It was still great. You had great matches. You had the AAA talent, and incredible matches with Taya and helping out Rich Swann. You had a good match between Ethan Page and Trey Miguel. Of course, you had the great match for the world title. To me, and I said this last time, they should get rid of that GWN, match of the week. Because if you take that away, that 13-minute match with Impact and Cross could have went longer. That Richard Swann match, that opening bout, I think that could have went a few minutes longer. It was such a good match that when it ended, I was actually disappointed. I was like, oh, man, I wish it was such a good match. I was enjoying it. I was upset they actually ended it. So, that's the only thing that takes it away from me. But I give it a 3.5. It's not a bad show. It was still a good show. Just, some way we could get to him, but, get rid of that. Just get rid of that segment. There's no need for that. You have the Twitch channel, which you have your weekly show on, where they could just watch it then. Not during the 2 hours that you have, where you could really display your talent now. Not worry about your talent that you did have, and some that abandoned you to go on to WWE. That's all I got to say about that. Other than that, again, it was an incredible show. But, yeah, that's one thing that kills me for it. That kills me.
I completely understand. I do think that, they do it for a reason. What specifically? I mean, I do understand that they're trying to push the app to an extent.
Yeah.
But I do also understand that sometimes you can do it as a detriment to yourself. So I think that that it could be done differently, not show so much of a match. And things like that. Sometimes I do think that they show too much of a match. So yeah, I think other than that, I think everything was good, and I think that they would, like I stated, I think that it's just with them right now. It's hard to top that very first show that they had.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be very hard because they really jam-packed that show with incredible matches, and rightfully so. If you, like I said, if you want to make it Impact right away, That's the way you do it. All right.
Right.
Well, let's go right on to the next segment, and that is, of course, the Impactful 3. That's our weekly segment where we do the top 3 superstars on Impact, and we rank them as far as the performance on the show. You want to start off this week?
Yeah, I can start it off.
All right,
I
go ahead.
think my top 3 will be um the Rascals, just because all 3 members of the Rascals had excellent matches this week. So I think that my top 3 will start off with them as a group. Um, my next, my second would be, um, I would have to say my second would possibly be Killer Cross,
Mm-hmm.
just because he continues to play his character so well, and it showed again in that main event match. And then my number 1 would be Rich Swann,
Mm-hmm.
just because he continues to have excellent matches and also continues to advance that storyline so well.
Okay. Well, we pretty much got the same ones. Number 3 I put is the Rascals, an incredible tag team match with Desi Hit Squad. Papa Smart, thank you for the host on Twitch. Yeah, I just it was an incredible tag team match. You know how I'm a sucker for a good tag team match, and they did not disappoint, and they got a huge victory on a great tag team of the Desi Hit Squad. Number 2, I'm with you, Killer Cross, character development, incredible match. Really showed strength, and I mean, no matter what, you think you could take the big man down, he pops right back up. But again, he does have great psychology where he can show, he could sell. He can sell. So that's my number 2. And of course, number 1 is Rich Swann. Facing Dijo Del Vecchino, if I got it correctly, of the AAA. I mean, he is a phenom there. And going up against a great talent like that, getting a good victory, going 15 minutes in an incredible match to start off the show. I don't see anyone that did a better performance than Rich Swann, and that is my number 1 of the Impactful 3 of the week. All right. Now, we kind of discussed this on the Discord server for Impact Wrestling, the official Impact Wrestling Discord server this past week, and I put a question out there just to get the general feeling of what people think they're going to see the company going in the next year. So I put, what are your early end of the year predictions? Who would be Impact Champion? Who would be Knockout Champion? The Tag Team Champions? And the X Division Champion? And maybe a surprise moment of the year. And I was like, you know what? Let's put that into the show. So if you want to start off, or would you like me to start it off?
You can go ahead and go first.
Okay, all right. Basically, this is as far as where I see it at the end of the year. So at December 31st, this is your champion and my surprise moment of the year. As far as the Impact World Champion, I have Brian Cage. I think he will win it, and he's going to hold it for a good period of time. I'm not saying that Impact was a transitional champion, because he held it for quite a bit. And if he were to lose it 2 weeks from now at Uncaged, which is February 15th, he would have held the title for 4 months. I don't consider that a transitional champion. A transitional champion's maybe a month, maybe 2. So I see Brian Cage winning the title and holding it at the end of the year. Knockout champion, I see Jordynne Grace. And right now, she's teaming up with Kiera Hogan, going up against, Allie, Dark Alley, Rosemary, and Sue Young, the Dark Side. I see her being the Impact World Champion because you got Taya, you got Tessa, you got a lot of great woman talent, but to me, if you've seen Jordynne Grace and her when she was in Indies, man, she's not going to be held back long. I see her by the end of the year being a knockout champion. Of course, the tag team champions, I see the Lucha Brothers being the tag team champions, and people go, really, Lucha Brothers? Yes, because Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. both said they're not worried about being a world champion right now. They're enjoying being tag champions. They're tag champions in MLW. They're pursuing a tag team championship here in Impact Wrestling. And at the end of the year, I do see them being tag champions. They're going to be probably in a lengthy program with LAX and result in them finally dethroning the champions and yeah, at the end of the year, I see them being world tag champions. My X Division champion at the end of the year, I see Trey Miguel. And again, I'm a mark for Trey Miguel. I enjoy his matches, but at the end of the year, I see him beating Rich Swann and becoming the X Division champion. And my surprise moment of the year, despite that she's in that program against Dark Alley, Rosemary, and Su Yung, my surprise moment is Trey Miguel. Jordan Grace joining the dark side. Sorry, I got like a test message and that distracted me. I see Jordan Grace joining the dark side and then helping her achieve the goal of, even though she's strong, but you would have the, Rosemary, you would have that stable helping her becoming a knockout champion. So that is my surprise moment of the year. So what are your early predictions of what's going to happen by the end of the year?
Okay. Well, I don't see. Well, I think that Brian Cage will be Impact World Champ by the end of the year. I think that will actually come probably before the middle of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do see the the Lucha Brothers actually eventually winning the tag titles,
Okay.
but I also see the Rascals winning the tag titles before the end of the year. Um,
Wow, really?
yeah.
So you see, you see the Lucha Brothers and them dropping it to them, to the Rascals.
I think that the Lucha Brothers could win the titles because I think what's going to happen is that by the next big pay per view, I think the Lucha Brothers will eventually drop the titles. I mean, win the titles. And
Mm-hmm.
then I think that even if they end up at some point dropping them back to LAX, I think one of those teams will eventually, could possibly drop the titles um, to the Rascals by the
Mm-hmm.
end of the year.
Okay, all right,
Not to
that's a good
say it's
pick.
going to happen, within the first 6 months, but I think that eventually that it could happen.
Okay.
Um, I think that it is a good possibility that either Jordan Grace or Rosemary win the knockout title by the end of the year. And I
Oh,
think that as far as the X Division champion, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it's not Ethan Page by the end of the year.
wow, you're going with Ethan Page with a push. All right, all right, that's a good pick. If it wasn't Trey Miguel, I would probably go with Ethan Page.
Yeah.
But I'm such a fan of Trey Miguel, I could see him being the guy. Or like I said, they could probably do the Freebird rule with the tag titles, and Trey Miguel will be a part of that, and Ethan Page could be your X Division champion. So I can see that possibly happening. That's a good pick, though.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I said, I'm a fan of Trey Miguel. I think they will probably throw him a bone, give him a push, and give him the X Division title, and maybe that could happen from now on. That, and maybe like Ethan Page by the end of the year coming out, beating him for the title. That's a good pick. I do like that. All right. Well, that's what we see at the end of the year. Of course, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please comment. Who do you see being the Impact World Champion, X Division, the Tag Team, and Knockouts Champion? And your surprise moment of the year. So make sure, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, we would like to see your predictions and put them in the comments below. All right. Let's go into the final segment of the show, and of course, it's From the Wire. And this is a segment where we're anything that happened in the, like news-wise, and we had a couple of major news stories come out in the world of Impact Wrestling. And that, of course, the first one we're going to cover real quick is the departure of Sonjay Dutt and Abyss, both going to the WWE. And it was reported last week that they will be leaving Impact for the World Wrestling Entertainment. Details are that they won't be joining Jeremy Borash on the NXT level, but to be on the main roster as producers. It was also reported that Conan and Tommy Dreamer will be taking over their positions at creative. Conan has experience. He's been booking AAA for plenty of years, well over 20, I think, at this point. And Tommy Dreamer did a lot of backstage work for ECW, and he currently runs his own promotion right now, the House of Hardcore. My question for you is how do you feel about the departures of Abyss and Sonjay Dutt? And we'll get into the replacements right after that. So, how did you feel about when you heard the news about Abyss and Sonjay Dutt leaving Impact Wrestling?
I think that it could be a big loss, just simply for the reason that you know Abyss was you know unspokenly one of the people that you would consider the heart of Impact Wrestling. He was
Mm-hmm.
the one person on the roster that had been there since the first year of its inception.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
and
2002. Man, that's a long
yeah,
time.
and then Sanjay Dutt um, was one of those also that had been there for in and out of the company for years, had always, had that open door where he could come back. Still to this point, from what they were saying, and so it still allowed. Um, I think it could possibly hurt. I know Sanjay had done some great work working with the X division, but I
Yeah.
think that those guys could handle that, to an extent themselves. So I think it's gonna be a hit, but I do think that it could work out eventually for both sides.
Yeah. Given about the replacements, it is the same because Abyss has been there since day one. And that was a company that back in 2006 where WWE was trying to lure him in then to go up against The Undertaker. That was their WrestleMania match. And he showed his loyalty. I'm not saying he's being disloyal now. It showed the loyalty he had for the company. And I guess after almost 17 years, he felt it was time to go. And I, of course, wish him best of luck, as well as Sanjay Dutt. And a great point of what you said about Sanjay Dutt is the fact, yeah, he's like the founding fathers of the X division and the work he has done for that division, and it gives people like the size, may not be the biggest guys, but they could really steal a show. I was always a fan of the X division matches, the Ultimate X. I mean, he pretty much kept, he started it, and over the years, whether he left and came back, he kept it relevant. It kept it fresh, and he did a good job. These are the two guys that did a great job creatively for this company in the last year. Um,
Um,
you may see a little bit of difference in the storytelling. You may not. I'm sure we will, because everyone has their own way of telling a story. Not necessarily saying it's a bad thing or a good thing, but you may see a difference. And it sucks that they're going to WWE. Um, but hey, when opportunity arises, would you take it?
of course.
There you go. And so, yeah, of course, we're wishing the best of luck. Now, we talked about them and how it does suck that we see that they're going. But how do you feel about the replacements of Conan and Tommy Dreamer taking over creative for Impact Wrestling?
I think that they're gonna be great. I mean, not because for one, you have to remember that Tommy not only worked backstage for ECW,
Yeah.
but Tommy also worked backstage for WWE before he left there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is not Tommy's first time, um, even helping with the booking in TNA to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that both bring certain expertise to the table, and they will be able to help, um, with different things, different angles, a different way to look at things. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that both of them have the potential to be great acquisitions as far as the booking is concerned. It's just kind of a wait and see where it goes kind of position at this point.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you as far as that. Conan, um, I think him being part of creative would probably bring in more international talent. I think he could have an
Hmm.
influence for that, which would be a great thing for Impact. It would build more depth into the roster. Um, and Tommy Dreamer could tell a great story. He really can. He has a real passion for the business. If you listen to him on Busted Open Radio when he fills in for Bully Ray when he can't be on the show, you just hear the
Hmm.
passion that he has. And the thing he like historically, like he'll talk about historical events, and he gets goosebumps when he tells the story. Guys like that you want a part of your creative because they really will pay attention, a lot of attention to detail. And that's one thing we always compliment about Impact Wrestling is that attention to detail. And he's the guy. He would be the perfect guy for that. I'm excited for where they're going to go, where they go from here. Conan, great mind for wrestling. Guy started at 15 years old, and look what he's accomplished in his years. The only thing I'm upset is that he never had that chance at WWE. You, of course, hear the story back in the past. It's something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. He brought it up that he said K-Dog. He called up and said, hey, K-Dog here. And he was wondering if he, could meet up with Vince and see if there was anything he could do. Of course, this was right before the fall of the WCW. It was pretty much falling, but he wanted to jump ship before, it happened. Mm-hmm. And because Bruce Pritchard was not familiar with the nickname K-Dog, he didn't know that was Conan the whole time. Just told him to send a video and blah, blah, blah on your resume and we'll get back to you. And that pissed him off. Just imagine if he was able to get into the WWE, what he could have done there. But overall, I mean, the guy has a great mind, and so does Tommy Dreamer. And yeah, I did forget to put the point that, yes, he did work for WWE, and he did some creative work there. But a lot of the success of ECW was because of him. Even Paul Heyman has said that. Like he had a lot of control creatively there. So for everyone that says, "Oh, Paul Heyman was a great mind for ECW, he did this," not necessarily true. Tommy Dreamer had a lot to do with that as well, and that's why they had tremendous success over the years. All right, do you have anything to add to that before we go into the other news story?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go right into the other story that we found out this week. Matt Sydal. Not only he's injured, he reported that in a series of tweets, and we'll get to that in a second, but he's also a free agent. And, as of right now, he is a free agent. It has been reported by Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer that he has offers from both WWE and AEW. He is currently on the shelf right now with a torn cartilage in his knee. He's waiting on a date to repair his knee. And in the series of tweets that he put out there, he's expected to be back by April. My question for you: in April, do you see him back in the Impact ring?
I think it's a possibility. It's gonna probably depend on what kind of offer the WWE gave him as far as where he's gonna work. If he's gonna go to NXT or if he's gonna go to 205 Live, or it's gonna depend on that. It's gonna depend on money. It's also gonna so it's gonna depend on him passing his physical once his injury is better. So it's gonna depend on all of that. Because right now he's kind of in that Shelton Benjamin limbo as far as when Shelton was first getting ready to come back to WWE, and he got hurt his shoulder and had to have surgery, and it kept him out for almost another year before he actually did make his return.
That is a horrible thing because it's like damaged goods. That's what you consider right now. Because even though it's not a major thing, it really isn't. It's a simple procedure. It's going to take time, a couple months to recover. If he's saying back by April, actually he said March or April, but it'll probably be more likely April that he'll be returning. That's a few months. I mean, it could happen. And the thing with that is, I feel he will be an Impact. I feel that they will put a good enough offer. WWE, I understand you got 205 Live, you got an NXT and all, but once you make it up to the main roster, even if you went to 205 Live, what would it do for him? They got too many people over there in WWE. I don't think I think he would be pushed as a bigger guy over an Impact, and he already has. Wasn't he a grand champion at one point? Am I correct? I think he's held the title. Yeah. So he's held the title. I mean, he's had opportunities. I do like this whole third eye thing he's doing. It's something different. It's to build up a character. He's building the character of Ethan Page. It's his protege. overall, I think he would have more opportunities, but there is that possibility. You got that new shiny toy over there in Jacksonville that might lure him over there. I think it would be a tremendous blow for him to leave Impact. I think he has a lot more to offer with Impact, especially a company that's starting to go back to it's on the rise again. I feel it. A lot of people in the wrestling world feel that. Overall, I mean, if you think he goes to either WWE or AEW, how much of impact do you think it would be for him to leave the company?
I don't, at this stage in his career, I don't see it being a huge impact.
Oh, really?
It would be a loss, but there are so many other wrestlers that are coming in, stepping up, that I don't know. I mean, it would be a loss and it would be a big loss,
Mm-hmm.
but at this stage in his career, I don't see him as that superstar that you just can't live without.
Oh, I would say this though. Not as far as like being the top guy, because obviously, yeah, like you said, he's about 38. He's at that age where he's pretty much on the back end of his career, and it's not a bad thing. But as far as veteran leadership, he's a guy that is accomplished. He's done a lot in WWE in the past, and he had tremendous success here at Impact. I think it would be good for the younger guys to learn from him. He has experience, and he has a good mind. You could tell he has a good mind for wrestling. That's why I think it would be a major loss. Of course, you have a lot of other veterans, Eli Drake and all, but here's a guy that's been around and was accomplished all the way around. So that's why I feel it would be a tremendous loss for the company, losing a guy like that could help the younger talent get over. And like I said, I was enjoying the work he was doing with Ethan Page. I apologize for that. Ethan Page. I like what he was doing with him, and I know he was probably learning a lot, and I'm sure he would say that. It's things like that I would, that it would hurt them. That's why I see it being a loss. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say with that?
No, like I said, I completely understand what you were saying. Like I stated, I just don't. I wasn't stating that he wasn't. That's why I stated he's not. It's not that he's not going to be a big loss, because losing a superstar of his caliber, at any time is a loss.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. He's not that. Have, for lack of a better word, cornerstone of the company.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't afford to lose. He's not a Johnny Impact or Brian Cage or Killer Cross.
Yeah.
He's not that on that level at this point in his career
No.
that you can't afford to lose him and take a hit to an extent, but still be able to bounce back with replacing him with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. No, I get your point. I'm just saying, as far as the loss to me, it's veteran leadership. That's why I say we're being a complete loss. But no, I get your point, and you have a very valid point with that. But I mean, it remains to be seen where he'll end up in April. But again, as of right now, he is a free agent, and we'll see where he goes. And if WWE and AEW take him on, man, that's a hell of a gamble for a man that's on the shelf. But again, it's a minor procedure. I mean, it's an easy fix. But I would like to see him still in Impact when April comes. All right, well, that is it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. We do appreciate everyone that popped in here. For the people that are watching on Twitch, of course, Force Nature, Get 'em Jones, IWA Blaze, Nighthawks24, your boy 420, and of course, D-Shep, which is the co-host of the Go Home Wrestling Show, and plenty of others that popped in throughout the broadcast, and Papa Smart for the host. You can watch us live on either Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, and Mixer. And if you can't catch us live, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Overcast, Anchor FM, and SoundCloud. And now you can catch the shows on Fight TV. So if you have the Fight TV app, we will be posting this video. It will be available tomorrow morning. All right, it allow it 18 to 24 hours to for it to go through. That's usually the process. And then when we're not live, you you could talk with us on Twitter. I'm at wrestling_go. He's at the Great One 999. That's the GR8 1999. Thank you for tuning in, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace.